The NBCProBasketballTalk season previews will ask the questions each of the 30 NBA teams must answer to make their season a success. We are looking at one team a day until the start of the season, and it begins with a look back at the team's off-season moves. Last season 40-42, missed the playoffs. I know what you did last summer. Denver snatched up Paul Millsap on a 3-year, $90 million deal. They also resigned Mason Plumlee to a 3-year deal worth $41 million. In June they swapped out Donovan Mitchell for Trey Lyles. Drafted Tyler Lydon, Monty Morris, and Vlatko Cancar. 3 questions the Nuggets must answer: 1. Who is going to pass, and when, and how much? After adding Paul Millsap and resigning Mason Plumlee, the Nuggets have a plethora of passing big men to choose from. We all know that Nikola Jokic is the future of the center position in Denver, so that gives you at least 3 big men to choose from in the offense. However, as we've seen on teams with great passing players before, it's possible to get into the habit of oversharing the ball at the detriment of simply putting it in the hoop. Plumlee is probably going to be in a major backup role on this team if everyone stays healthy, so that could simplify things a bit. Still, you have the potential here of things getting a little overworked when it gets into the hands of the big men, so making sure they understand when to stick to the sheet and when to play jazz will be important. We're all excited to see Millsap and Jokic play together, but it might take a few weeks against live competition to sort out the passing lanes. Point 2. Will there be any semblance of defense? Denver finished just 29th last season in defensive efficiency rating. Kenneth Faried is still somewhat of an issue on that end, and despite what some statistics suggest, Plumlee is not a good defender. Jokic and Millsap should help that out a little bit, but much of this team remains the same from last year. The question will be in the continued development of the young players, particularly Jamal Murray, Emmanuel Mudiay, and whatever you can squeeze out of Will Barton on the defensive end of the floor. For as sneaky as this team is going to be when it comes to the playoff race this season, I still believe that defense will be an issue. Think of the Portland Trail Blazers teams of the last few years and how much they have had to be a stellar offensive team, if only because their defense has been abysmal. The Nuggets might slot right into that archetype this season if they aren't careful. Point 3. What are they doing with Kenneth Faried? There has been a lot of chatter around the league wondering if Faried is ever going to get traded. The question, of course, is whether he has any value with his cap hit and whether that is still a smart thing for the Nuggets to do. Faried had a statistical down season last year, if only slightly, but in his move to a bench role he was effective as an offensive weapon. Certainly, if he remains in that role next season he will be a wrecking ball against some of the backup lineups that get trotted out in the NBA. However, he does have the 3rd highest salary on the team, and it is a question whether he will ever fully develop into a more complete player as he heads into his 7th season. The question of what to do with Faried isn't just about the trade market. It's also about, if he stays, what kind of role he has, and what work he has to do on a team that needs to strengthen its defense if it wants to be in the playoff race.